Hey there guys, CrossFlux here, and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Red Rescue Team. In the last episode, we explored the Howling Forest and saved a lost Smeargle, who ended up joining our team. In today's episode, we're going to follow up on Lombre's tale from episode 29 by taking down the Stormy Sea. But before we do that, I should explain that my team is a little bit different than you guys probably remember seeing. For one thing, there's this new team member named Dotson. It's a Nuzleaf, and I obtained it as a Seedot from the Uproar Forest during episode 21 when I had to make a return trip to, the forest to get another chestnut for the Mankey gang. I also leveled up everyone quite a bit. Skipper's level 35 and Tesla's level 30. And because Tesla's 30, he's now capable of evolution. I could have done that off screen as well, however, since Tesla is the first team member that joined us, I felt it'd be a bit disrespectful if I handled it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and show his evolution into a Magneton on screen here. After that, I'm going to reassemble the team and go over the items that we're going to need in preparation of the Stormy Sea dungeon. So I'm not entirely sure where the other two Magnemite come from in order to get Tesla to evolve here. One might think it's his two friends that we saw at the start of the game, but heading down to the south end of Pokemon Square, we see that that's not the case. Keep up your rescue work, and they obviously don't even acknowledge us evolving. Anyways guys, real quick, I'm going to reassemble the team and whatnot, and I'll meet you right around here. Alright guys, back. That didn't take too long. So real quick, here are the items that I'm taking. The most important item to bring to the Stormy Sea is the Dive HM that you receive from Wish Cache. Alternatively, you can free up that inventory spot if you teach Dive to one of your team members. I don't really like the move Dive, so I'm not going to teach it to Skipper or anybody. So I figure, I don't really need that much toolbox space, so I'd bring it along. If you'll notice, my inventory consists primarily of Reviver Seeds, as well as an extra Max Elixir. I normally bring one, but in this case I'm bringing two just because it's a longer dungeon than we're used to, and it's definitely going to wear your power points down. I also decided to leave Tesla as the leader because we haven't had a leader other than Skipper before, so I figured now's the best time. So right off the bat here, we are introduced to the first floor of the Stormy Sea. There's no introductory cutscene like we're used to from the main storyline games, or the main storyline dungeons, so it's a little underwhelming in that regard. However, the dungeon itself isn't that bad. It starts off actually fairly tame. A few low-level water types to kind of introduce you to the floor layouts, because the Stormy Sea actually has a wide variety of floor layouts at its disposal. It can range anywhere from large rooms, as you can see here, that are just a sparse few large rooms that make up the entire floor. And it can range anywhere to, in some of the later floors, long, dark hallways that connect kind of like water currents together. So it's pretty neat. I really like the aesthetic of this dungeon. It's really beautiful. Anyways, some standout Pokemon threats are Spheal and Celio. Because they're ice types, they're troubled to grass types, which would normally be good partners for a dungeon like this, since, you know, grass beats water. But yeah, you gotta be careful of your grass types because of Spheal. Mostly because it has Powder Snow, which will hit all the Pokemon in your entire party, as well as the Ice Ball move, which will hit multiple times in a row, kind of like Fury Attack and whatnot. However, what makes it extra deadly is the fact that Ice Ball increases in damage each time it's used. So if you're not careful, it will plow through your entire supply of Reviver Seeds in a single go. So since Nuzleaf is weak to ice and is also the lowest leveled member on my team, I'm going to have to be really careful with him. It's kind of the weak link, but I definitely think the Bullet Seed move that he knows is going to come in handy, so that's why I decided to bring him along. In general here, you're not going to find too many strange items here, like anything out the ordinary. You're going to find primarily gummies and a few interesting orbs, but yeah, nothing spectacular. I wouldn't recommend scouring the floor for anything. Oh my goodness, Skipper, please just eat this gummy. It's good for you. It's nutritious and healthy, and it will make you smarter. Finally. Alright, anyways, as I was saying, sorry, I kind of got a little lost my train of thought there. But anyways, some other Pokemon that you can find here that are a big threat are Starmie on the later floors. Mostly because they just have lots of HP, and the recover move, which will restore up to half their HP. So if you're not able to take them out in one super effective strike, you're in for a long fight if you see a Starmie. Also, Armaldo are pretty interesting. They're actually not that dangerous to deal with, but what makes them a problem, or not really a problem, what makes them actually an asset is the fact that they give lots of experience. So I definitely recommend hanging out in the mid to late floors of the dungeon and killing a few extra Armaldo if you're short of a level. Can't really think of too much else to say about the dungeon, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get the speed up underway. Alright guys, I'm going to cut back in here a little bit earlier than I normally do, seeing as how this isn't the final floor of the dungeon. There's actually 39 floors to the Stormy Sea, with the 40th floor being reserved for the boss of the area. So, one thing I should mention is that the boss of this dungeon is actually recruitable, as well as some of the bosses from previous dungeons that we've already been to, but we can now backtrack to and recruit them. For example, the legendary birds immediately come to mind. So, another thing I never really discussed in this Let's Play is the size of your team. I know earlier on in the Let's Play I mentioned that you can't bring any more than 3 Pokemon into a particular dungeon with you. And technically that's true, but only if all the Pokemon in your team are size 1. There's actually a size limit to basically how you can bring Pokemon into your dungeons. And that is, you have a maximum of a size of 6 that you can bring in with you. And most Pokemon take up just size 1, a few Pokemon are size 2, and then the remaining Pokemon are size 4. For example, most legendary Pokemon are size 4. As a result, the Pokemon that is the boss of this region is a size 4 Pokemon, meaning if we want to recruit it, we're going to have to say goodbye to one of our team members before the fight starts, so that there's enough room on our team for that Pokemon to join. And unfortunately, since Nuzleaf here is kind of the weakest member of our team, I'm going to go ahead and say farewell to him. Well, he does have a whole held item first, so I guess I'll take that real quick. I'll eat this plain seed and then take his held item. Not Skipper's item, Dotson's item. There we go. Take that. Now I'll say goodbye to him. And then I'll make Skipper the leader, seeing as how Skipper is the highest level Pokemon on my team. Meaning that there's the best chance of recruiting with him. I'm also going to set Tesla's moveset to basically status duty, just like I tend to do with most bosses. That way there's not a chance of Tesla like accidentally killing the boss, because the leader must land the final blow. Ugh, my power is bursting. My infinite power. Ugh. Don't sound so constipated there. My duels against Groudon left us both exhausted. I took to a long and deep sleep. All the time I waited for my power to recover. And now I am on the verge of regaining my power. I am Kyogre, the Lord of the Sea. Witness the destructive force of my waves. Marvel at my awesome power. So, despite all this grandiose talk of awesome power, Kyogre here actually isn't that threatening. And the reason for that is he's actually only level 25. He does have 600 HP, so that's a decent amount. However, his moveset is pretty weak, and obviously, since this dungeon almost requires you to bring lots of grass and electric type Pokemon in with you, that means that those Pokemon are naturally going to be super effective against Kyogre. As a result, it shouldn't take too many moves to take him down. And Tesla here is doing a decent job at keeping Kyogre under bay. So it should only take a couple more tackles to bring Kyogre down, and hopefully, if I'm lucky enough, I'll end up recruiting him. Alright. I'm guessing maybe one more if I've done my mental math correctly. Alright. Alright, good. And he did want to recruit. So I'm going to say yes to that, of course. Because Kyogre's a legendary Pokemon, I'm not going to nickname him, and I'm probably not even going to really use him in battle or anything, but I figured I'd go ahead and recruit him, just to go ahead and have him for my collection. But with that, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead and call the episode here. I really appreciate you guys sticking around and watching this somewhat longer video than I normally make, but as usual, have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next part.